Hello everyone, so today I am going to explain a novel written by me called Psycho Teacher is Calling Me. Chapter 1. The door he was afraid to open in a small, quiet village tucked between green hills and foggy rice fields. Ji-hoon had lived his entire 19 years without ever being truly seen. People knew him as the polite boy who helped his mother, who bowed properly to elders, who never caused trouble. But there was a part of him no one knew. A part that woke up every night, whispering things he was too afraid to say out loud. He was secretly gay. In a place like this, that truth was something to be buried deep. One afternoon, Ji-hoon was sent to Seoul to deliver some papers for a local business. The city felt unreal, tall buildings, neon lights, crowds moving like waves. For the first time, he felt small and free. While wandering, he found himself standing in front of a narrow street glowing with rainbow lights. At the end of it was a gay bar. His heart pounded. So this is where people like me go. He stepped forward. Then stopped. Fear wrapped around his chest. What if someone saw him? What if he didn't belong? He stood there, frozen, staring at the door like it was a forbidden dream. That was when a voice spoke beside him. First time? Ji-hoon turned. The man standing there looked like he had walked out of another world. Tall, well-dressed, hair neatly styled, eyes sharp yet amused. He carried himself with calm confidence, as if he was never afraid of being exactly who he was. Ji-hoon swallowed. I wasn't. The man smiled softly. You were thinking about going inside. Ji-hoon's face burned. Instead of teasing him, the man chuckled. Relax, I won't bite. They started talking small things at first. Where Ji-hoon was from, why he came to the city. The man listened closely, as if Ji-hoon was the most interesting person in the world. Slowly, Ji-hoon felt his fear fade. After a while, the man leaned closer and said quietly, You know, that bar isn't always safe. Some people there aren't very nice. Ji-hoon looked at him, surprised. Then, aren't you one of them? The man laughed, a low, mysterious sound. Maybe, he said. Or maybe not. Why don't we find out? Before Ji-hoon could answer, the man gently took his hand. They didn't go to the bar. Instead, they went to a small hotel nearby. The room was quiet, lit only by the soft glow of a single lamp. The door clicked shut behind them, and for a moment neither moved, just stood there breathing the same charged air. The man stepped closer. Slow, giving Ji-hoon every chance to pull away. He didn't. Fingers brushed Ji-hoon's cheek. Tentative at first, then firmer, tracing the line of his jaw as if memorizing it. Their eyes locked, and something unspoken passed between them. Permission, longing, a shared secret finally given voice. When their lips met, it was careful, almost reverent. A brush, a pause, then deeper, like a tide finally allowed to rush in after years of being held back. Ji-hoon's hands found the man's shirt, clutching fabric as if it were the only thing keeping him upright. The kiss turned hungry, breathless, mouths opening, tongues sliding together in a slow, searing dance that made Ji-hoon's knees tremble. Hands roamed. Warm palms slipped under Ji-hoon's shirt, mapping the planes of his back, pulling him flush until there was no space left between them. Every touch felt like a spark catching dry grass, sudden, bright, spreading fast. The man kissed along his jaw, down the column of his throat, lips lingering where Ji-hoon's pulse hammered wildly, tasting the quick rise and fall of his breath. Ji-hoon gasped when teeth grazed his collarbone, soft, teasing, and the sound seemed to unravel something in the older man. He lifted Ji-hoon effortlessly, carrying him the few steps to the bed, laying him down like something precious. Their bodies pressed together, heat bleeding through clothes, hard slamming in tandem. Clothes came off slowly, reverently, not rushed, but inevitable. Skin met skin, and Ji-hoon felt like he was being seen for the first time, truly seen. Every hesitant inch of him welcomed with kisses and murmured words, too quiet to catch, but heavy with want. Fingers threaded through his hair, tilting his head back so their mouths could meet again and again, deeper each time, as if they could pour every unspoken year into this single night. It was overwhelming. The slide of bodies, the shared rhythm they found without words, the way pleasure built like a wave cresting higher and higher until it broke over them both in shuddering, breathless release. In that moment, Ji-hoon wasn't afraid anymore. He was wanted. He was held. He was alive in a way he had never known was possible, and it terrified him. The next morning, before the sun fully rose, Ji-hoon quietly dressed and left. He didn't wake the man. He didn't say goodbye. He just ran back to the bus station, his heart heavy with regret and unanswered questions. Back in his village, life returned to normal, or so he tried to believe. He helped his mother. He walked the familiar paths. He tried to forget, but the man's eyes stayed in his mind. The memory of those hands, that mouth, that quiet certainty refused to fade. Then, one day, a moving truck arrived at the empty house next to his. Ji-hoon watched from his window as boxes were unloaded. And when the door opened, his breath stopped. It was him. The man from the hotel, standing right next door, looking straight at Ji-hoon. With a smile that said, I found you. The morning sun had barely cleared the hills when Ji-hoon heard the low rumble of the moving truck finally pull away. He stayed by the window longer than he should have, watching the empty street, half expecting the man to vanish like a bad dream. He did in single quotes T. Instead, the front door of the house next door opened, and there he was, still tall, still impossibly composed, now carrying a single cardboard box labeled kitchen in neat black marker. Ji-hoon's stomach dropped. He should have stayed hidden, but his mother's voice called from the kitchen. Ji-hoon, go say hello to the new neighbor. Be polite, and habit moved his legs before fear could stop them. He stepped outside barefoot, the wooden porch cool under his feet. The man Seoha, Ji-hoon still didn't know his name, looked up immediately, as if he'd been waiting for this exact moment. Their eyes met. Ji-hoon's throat closed. Annyeonghaseyo, he managed, bowing stiffly, too low, too fast. Welcome to the neighborhood. Seoha smiled, that same slow, knowing smile from Seoul, and inclined his head. Thank you. I'm looking forward to settling in. Ji-hoon nodded once, twice, then turned on his heel and practically ran back inside. The door slammed louder than he meant it to. His mother raised an eyebrow from the sink. What's wrong with you today? Nothing, Ji-hoon mumbled, already halfway to his room. He shut the door, leaned against it, and slid to the floor. His heart wouldn't slow down. He kept replaying it, the hotel room, the heat of skin. The way Seoha had whispered against his neck like a promise. And now that same man lived next door. Could walk over anytime. Could speak. Ji-hoon pressed his palms to his eyes until spots danced behind his lids. He didn't tell his parents anything. Not a word. All day he stayed in his room, curtains drawn, phone face down, pretending to study while his mind looped the same terrifying reel. He knows. He saw me. What if he says something? Dinner passed in near silence. His father asked if he was sick. Ji-hoon said he was just tired. His mother pressed a hand to his forehead and declared he didn't have a fever, so he must be fine. He escaped back to his room as soon as the dishes were done. Sleep refused to come. The next morning arrived too soon. Ji-hoon. His father called from the yard. The cows won't milk themselves. Come on. Ji-hoon dragged himself out of bed, pulled on old work clothes, and trudged to the small barn behind their house. The familiar smells, hay, warm hide, fresh manure usually grounded him. Today they only made him feel more exposed. He was halfway through the second cow when he heard footsteps on the gravel path. He froze. Bucket halfway lifted. Seoha was walking toward the barn, casual in a light gray sweater and dark jeans, carrying an empty metal milk canister. He waved politely at Ji-hoon's father, who was stacking feed bags near the entrance. Morning, neighbor. His father called cheerfully. You're up early, thought I'd take you up on that offer, Seoha replied, voice smooth and warm. You said fresh milk is better than anything from the store. Ji-hoon's father laughed. Of course. For you, I'll even give a little discount. Family price now. Ji-hoon stared at the cow's flank, pretending to be very focused on the rhythm of the milking. His ears burned. They were already friends. In one day. His father, gruff, suspicious of city people, had already decided this man was trustworthy. Ji-hoon felt the ground tilt under him. He won't say anything. Ji-hoon told himself desperately. Asterisk he can't. Not now that he's living here. Not now that he's getting discounts. Asterisk he finished the last cow in record time, muttered something about being done, and hurried back to the house without looking at Seoha once. He showered fast, changed into his school uniform, and left before anyone could ask why he was in such a rush. Asterisk. At school he found his usual group under the old persimmon tree near the gate. Min-jae and Tae-sung, his two closest guy friends, and Sua and Yoonji, the girls who had basically adopted him since middle school. You look like you saw a ghost, Sua said, tilting her head. Didn't sleep, Ji-hoon muttered. Tae-sung slung an arm around his shoulders. Rough night. Want me to buy you ramen at lunch? Ji-hoon forced a smile. I'm okay. They walked to class together, chatter washing over him like background noise. He sat in his usual seat by the window, staring at the empty teacher's desk, trying to breathe normally. Then the intercom crackled. Attention, second-year students. Your new biology teacher will be joining you today. Please give him a warm welcome. The classroom door opened. Every head turned. He walked in wearing a crisp white dress shirt, sleeves rolled neatly to the forearms, dark slacks, and a quiet confidence that filled the room without effort. Hair swept back, jaw sharp, eyes calm and intelligent behind subtle wireframe glasses he hadn't worn in Seoul. Girls gasped softly. Whispers erupted. He's so handsome. Is he even allowed to be that good-looking? A few boys crossed their arms, suddenly sitting straighter, jaws tight. Ji-hoon couldn't move. Seoha set his briefcase on the desk, turned to the class, and offered a small, polite bow. Good morning. My name is Kim Seoha. I'll be your new biology teacher starting today. I look forward to getting to know all of you. His gaze swept the room slow, professional until it landed on Ji-hoon. For one heartbeat, the entire world narrowed to that single point of contact. Then Seoha's mouth curved just the tiniest. Lift at one corner. He winked. Quick, subtle, gone. In an instant, but Ji-hoon felt it like a physical touch. Heat flooded his face. His hands clenched under the desk so hard his nails bit into his palms. Seoha turned back to the board and began writing the day's objectives in neat handwriting. Ji-hoon stared at the back of his own hands, pulse roaring in his ears. The man from the hotel. The man from next door, now his teacher. Class had barely started, and already Ji-hoon knew one thing with bone-deep certainty. There was no running from this anymore. Chapter 3. The lesson. He couldn't escape. Heath bell rang like a gunshot. Ji-hoon didn't hear the usual post-class chatter swell around him. He didn't hear Sua asking if he wanted to grab tteokbokki after school, or Min-jae complaining about the upcoming math test. All he registered was the scrape of chairs, the rustle of backpacks, and the soft click of Kim Se-ha's polished shoes as he moved behind the teacher's desk, ranging handouts with calm, deliberate motions. Ji-hoon stayed seated, frozen. His fingers were locked around the edges of his textbook so tightly the spine creaked. Most of the class filed out. A few girls lingered near the front, giggling and asking unnecessary questions about the syllabus. Seoha answered them politely, voice low, professional, every word measured, but his eyes flicked toward Ji-hoon once, twice. Each glance felt like a match struck against dry tinder. Finally the room emptied. Only Ji-hoon remained. Seoha closed the classroom door with a quiet snick. The sound echoed louder than it should have. He turned, leaned back against the edge of the desk, arms crossed loosely over his chest. The white shirt pulled just enough to show the clean lines of his shoulders. The same shoulders Ji-hoon had clutched 2 nights ago like they were the only solid thing in a spinning world. You're not going to run again, are you? Seoha asked softly. Ji-hoon's throat worked. No sound came out. Seoha tilted his head, studying him the way someone might study a rare specimen under glass. Curious, patient, faintly amused. I didn't expect to find you here, he continued. Not so soon. Not like this. A small pause. But I'm not sorry. Ji-hoon finally found his voice. It came out cracked. You're my asterisk teacher. Asterisk. I know, you winked at me. In front of everyone, I did. Ji-hoon's hand slammed down on the desk. Why would you do that? Because I wanted you to know I see you. Seoha pushed off the desk and took one slow step forward. Then another. The same way I saw you that night. The same way I'm seeing you right now, scared, angry, beautiful. The word landed like a slap and a caress at the same time. Ji-hoon shoved his chair back so fast it screeched against the linoleum. Don't what? Seoha stopped a respectful distance away, but the air between them still felt too small. Don't tell the truth? Don't remind you how your breath hitched when I kissed your throat? How you trembled when I stop? Ji-hoon's voice broke. He pressed his palms to his ears like a child trying to block out a nightmare. Just stop. Seoha's expression softened instantly. The teasing edge vanished. What remained was something quieter, almost tender. I'm sorry, he said, and he sounded like he meant it. I pushed too far. Old habit. Ji-hoon lowered his hands slowly. His chest rose and fell too fast. Seoha exhaled through his nose. Sit down, Ji-hoon, please. He didn't want to obey, but his legs felt like they might give out anyway. He sank back into the chair. Seoha pulled the teacher's chair around and sat facing him close enough that their knees almost touched. Far enough that Ji-hoon could still breathe. I didn't know you were still in high school, Seoha said quietly. When I saw you standing outside that bar, you looked older, more certain. I thought you were maybe 21, 22. City kids grow up fast. Ji-hoon stared at the floor. I'm 19, I know that now. Silence stretched thin and painful. Why did you move here? Ji-hoon whispered. Of all places, Seoha's laugh was soft, rueful. Coincidence. Cruel, beautiful coincidence. I grew up in a village not much different from this one. When the transfer came through for a rural school position with better pay and housing allowance, I took it without thinking twice. I wanted quiet. I wanted to breathe again. He paused. I didn't expect the air to smell like you. Ji-hoon's face flamed. Seoha leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees. I'm not going to pretend that night didn't happen. I can't. I still feel your hands in my hair. I still taste you when I close my eyes. Ji-hoon made a small, wounded sound, but Seoha continued, voice steady. I'm your teacher now. That changes everything. I won't touch you again unless you come to me. I won't speak of it unless you speak first. I won't make this harder for you than it already is. Ji-hoon looked up, then really looked. Seoha's eyes were darker than he remembered. Tired, maybe. A little haunted. You're afraid too, Ji-hoon said suddenly. Seoha didn't deny it. I could lose everything. Career, reputation, freedom, if anyone found out what happened before I knew who you were. He let the sentence hang. But more than that, I could hurt you, irreparably, and that scares me more. Ji-hoon swallowed hard. Something hot and aching bloomed behind his ribs. I don't know what to do, he admitted in a whisper. You don't have to do anything right now. Seoha's voice was gentle. Just breathe. Go home, eat dinner with your parents. Pretend I'm just the weird new teacher who gives too much homework. I'll pretend to. Ji-hoon gave a shaky laugh that sounded more like a sob. Seoha reached out slowly, telegraphing every movement, and brushed the hair off Ji-hoon's forehead with the backs of his knuckles. The touch was feather-light, reverent. But when you're ready, he murmured, when you want to talk, or yell, or ask questions, or anything. My door is next to yours. Literally. Ji-hoon closed his eyes against the warmth of that hand. Seoha withdrew it far too soon. Go, he said softly. Before someone comes looking for you. Ji-hoon stood on unsteady legs. He gathered his bag like it weighed 100 kilos. At the door he paused. Sion Sonim, he said, using the formal title for the first time. It tasted strange on his tongue. Seoha looked up. Ji-hoon's voice was barely audible. I don't hate you. A small, broken smile curved Seoha's mouth. That's a start. Ji-hoon fled. The hallway was mercifully empty. He made it outside, past the persimmon tree, past the gate. Before the first tear fell, he walked the whole way home with his head down, backpack straps cutting into his shoulders, replaying every word, every look, every almost touch when he stepped into the yard. His father was watering the vegetable patch. You're late, his father grunted without looking up. Sorry, new teacher keep you after? Ji-hoon's heart stuttered. Yeah, just... Going over some things. His father nodded absently. Seems like a decent guy. Brought over some fruit this morning. City manners, but not stuck up. Ji-hoon made a non-committal sound and escaped inside. His mother was already setting the table. She took one look at his face and frowned. You're pale. Are you coming down with something? I'm fine, he lied. Dinner passed in a blur. He pushed rice around his bowl, answered in monosyllables. Excused himself early. In his room, he collapsed onto the bed without changing out of his uniform. The window faced the house next door. A light was on in what must be Seha's bedroom. The curtains were half open. Ji-hoon could see the silhouette of him moving, unbuttoning his shirt, hanging it carefully over a chair, stretching his arms above his head in a slow, unconscious arc. Ji-hoon's breath caught. Seoha paused, turned slightly, looked straight toward Ji-hoon's window. Their eyes met across the narrow strip of yard. Neither moved. Then Seoha lifted a hand slow, deliberate, and pressed his palm flat against the glass. It wasn't a wave. It was a promise. Ji-hoon's heart slammed against his ribs so hard he thought it might bruise. He didn't wave back, but he didn't close the curtain either. He just stood there staring until Seoha finally turned away and the light clicked off. Only then did Ji-hoon let himself fall back onto the mattress, arms over his face, body trembling with too many feelings to name. Fear, shame, want, asterisk, and underneath it all something dangerously close to hope. He didn't sleep much that night, but for the first time in 2 days, the silence in his chest didn't feel quite so suffocating. Asterisk Chapter 4. The distance between desks. Rest of the week felt like walking on glass. Ji-hoon developed new habits overnight ones he hated himself for adopting. He arrived at school 15 minutes early so he could slip into the classroom before the crowd. He chose the back row corner seat instead of his usual window spot, hoping the extra rows of bodies would act like a shield. During biology period, he kept his eyes glued to his notebook, writing notes in tiny, cramped handwriting as if neatness could protect him. When Seoha called on other students, Ji-hoon's shoulders relaxed a fraction. When the teacher's voice said Ji-hoon see, his pencil snapped in half. Seoha never pushed. He asked questions. He explained mitosis and meiosis with the same calm precision he'd used to trace Ji-hoon's spine that night. He graded papers fairly. He smiled at everyone, the same polite, professional smile, and yet, every time their eyes met by accident, because Ji-hoon couldn't help looking up, eventually something electric snapped through the air. Seha's gaze would linger 1 heartbeat longer than necessary. Not long enough for anyone else to notice. Long enough for Ji-hoon to feel it in his bones. After the 3rd day, Ji-hoon started skipping lunch in the cafeteria. He told his friends he had library duty. They believed him because Ji-hoon had always been the responsible one. Instead, he hid on the roof, sitting against the water tank with his knees drawn up, eating convenience store kimbap and trying not to think about how close Seha's classroom was. 1 floor down, 1 hallway over, a staircase away. On Friday, the sky turned bruise purple with coming rain. Biology was the last period. Seoha entered 5 minutes late than usual for him, carrying a stack of returned quizzes under one arm and an umbrella in the other hand. His hair was slightly damp. A few dark strands clung to his forehead. He looked unfairly good, like that human, a little undone. Sorry for the delay, he said, setting everything on the desk. The staff meeting ran over. He began handing back the quizzes row by row. When he reached Ji-hoon's row, the classroom noise had settled into the usual end-of-day murmur. Seoha stopped beside Ji-hoon's desk, placed the paper face down. Ji-hoon stared at it without touching. Full marks, Seoha said quietly, only loud enough for Ji-hoon to hear. Impressive. Ji-hoon's fingers twitched. Seoha leaned down just enough to slide the paper closer and murmured, so low it could have been breath against skin, you're avoiding me. Ji-hoon's head snapped up. Seha's face was close enough that Ji-hoon could smell rain on his clothes, the faint cedar of his cologne, the same scent that still haunted his pillow from that hotel night. I'm not, Ji-hoon started, then stopped because the light tasted sour. Seoha straightened. Gave him the smallest, saddest smile. Meet me after class. Rooftop access door. 5 minutes. He walked away before Ji-hoon could answer. The bell rang like a death knell. Ji-hoon packed slowly. Too slowly. His friends waved goodbye from the doorway. Sua blew him a playful kiss. He managed a weak smile. When the room was empty, he stood. He could leave, go home, pretend the words had never been spoken. Instead, he climbed the stairs to the roof. The door was propped open with a brick. Rain had started soft, steady, drumming on the metal awning above the stairwell. Seoha stood just outside the doorway, back to the rain, hands in his pockets. He hadn't bothered with the umbrella. Ji-hoon stepped out. The door clicked shut behind him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Seoha said, "You're shaking, it's cold." Ji-hoon lied. Seoha took one step closer. Rain misted against his cheekbones, catching the dim security light like tiny diamonds. "I told you I wouldn't push," he said. "I meant it. But watching you flinch every time I look at you, it's killing me." Ji-hoon wrapped his arms around himself. "What do you want me to do? Smile and pretend nothing happened?" No. Seha's voice cracked on the single word. He dragged a hand through his wet hair. "I want you to hate me if that's what you need. Yell, tell me to transfer schools. Tell your parents. Tell the principal. Anything but disappear on me like this." Ji-hoon laughed sharp, bitter. "You think I can tell anyone? My father would." He stopped, swallowed. "My mother would cry for weeks. And school. Everyone would know. I'd never live it down." Seoha closed the distance then. Not touching. Just close enough that Ji-hoon could feel heat radiating off him despite the rain. "Then let me carry it," Seoha said. "Let me be the one who remembers. Let me look at you the way I want to look at you, and you can pretend I'm just another boring teacher. I'll take the weight of it, all of it." Ji-hoon's eyes burned. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you do that?" "Because that night wasn't just sex for me." Seha's voice dropped to something raw. "I've had nights like that before, empty, forgettable. That night, you looked at me like I was the first person who ever really saw you. And I looked at you like you were the first person who ever made me feel clean. Like I wasn't broken." Ji-hoon's breath hitched. Seoha reached out slow, careful and cupped Ji-hoon's face with one rain-chilled hand. Thumb brushed the corner of his eye where a tear had escaped. "I don't expect forgiveness," Seoha murmured. "I don't even expect you to like me right now. But don't run from me forever, please." Ji-hoon closed his eyes, leaned just a fraction into the touch. The rain fell harder. Seha's other hand came up, framing Ji-hoon's face fully now. He didn't kiss him, didn't try, just held him there, foreheads almost touching, breathing the same wet air. "I'll wait," Seoha whispered. "As long as it takes." Ji-hoon opened his eyes. Seha's were dark, unguarded, terrified in a way Ji-hoon had never seen. Something inside Ji-hoon cracked open. He lifted one trembling hand, placed it flat against Seha's chest right over his heart, felt it galloping under the wet cotton. "I don't know how to do this," Ji-hoon said. Voice small. Seoha covered Ji-hoon's hand with his own. "Then we learn together, slowly." Thunder rolled somewhere far off. Ji-hoon didn't pull away. Instead, he stepped closer, close enough that their shoes touched, close enough that rain dripped from Seha's hair onto Ji-hoon's cheek. Seoha exhaled. Shakily. Ji-hoon tilted his face up. Their lips met soft, hesitant, rain slick, and trembling. It wasn't like the hotel. No hunger, no desperation, just quiet, aching recognition. When they parted, Seoha rested his forehead against Ji-hoon's. "Thank you," he breathed. Ji-hoon didn't answer. He just stayed there, letting the rain wash over both of them, letting Seoha hold him like something fragile and irreplaceable. The bell for after-school cleaning rang somewhere below. They had maybe 10 more minutes before someone came looking. It wasn't enough. It was everything. Chapter 5. Shadows on the wall. Monday arrived with a deceptive calm. The weekend had passed in fragile silence. Ji-hoon spent most of Saturday helping his mother with laundry and Sunday pretending to study while his father watched baseball on the small TV in the living room. He avoided looking out the window toward the house next door. He avoided thinking about the rain-soaked kiss on the rooftop. He avoided everything that felt too real, but school didn't allow avoidance. Biology was third period. Ji-hoon arrived even earlier than usual, slipping into his new back row seat like a shadow. He kept his head down, hoodie up despite the warm classroom air, earbuds in even though no music played. A pathetic armor. Seo-ha entered at the exact second the bell rang. He looked composed as always, white shirt crisp, tie perfectly knotted, sleeves rolled to mid-forearm, but there was a subtle difference today. A faint shadow under his eyes, a tightness at the corners of his mouth. When he thought no one was watching, Ji-hoon noticed. Of course he noticed. Seo-ha began the lesson without preamble. Plant reproduction, diagrams of pollination, the quiet miracle of seeds becoming something more. His voice was steady, professional. He called on students evenly. He praised answers. He corrected gently. He did not look at Ji-hoon once, not even accidentally. Ji-hoon should have felt relieved. Instead he felt hollow. Halfway through the period, Seo-ha announced a group practical. Pair up. We'll be dissecting flowers today, identifying reproductive structures under the microscope. You'll have 30 minutes. Work quietly. The room filled with the scrape of chairs and excited murmurs. Ji-hoon stayed seated, waiting for someone to claim him. Usually Soo-ah or Yoon-ji would drag him into their group. Today they were already paired with each other. Giggling over something on Sua's phone. Min-jae and Taesung claimed the station next to the window. Ji-hoon was left alone. He stared at his blank notebook. Pulse loud in his ears. Footsteps approached. Seo-ha placed a plastic tray of fresh lilies and a microscope slide kit on Ji-hoon's desk without a word. Then he leaned down close enough that only Ji-hoon could hear. You're with me today. Ji-hoon's stomach flipped. Seo-ha straightened. Address the class. I'll work with whoever doesn't have a partner. Ji-hoon-ssi, join me at the front bench, please. A few girls made soft, disappointed sounds. A boy in the back muttered lucky bastard under his breath. Ji-hoon stood on numb legs. They worked side by side at the demonstration bench near the teacher's desk, far enough from the other groups to speak quietly, close enough that their elbows brushed every time they reached for a tool. Seo-ha handed him a scalpel. Their fingers touched for half a second, deliberate, electric. Ji-hoon flinched. Seo-ha's voice stayed perfectly neutral. Careful with the anther. It's fragile. They dissected in silence at first. Ji-hoon sliced open the petal layers with shaking hands. Seo-ha pointed out the stamen, the pistil, the sticky stigma waiting for pollen, clinical, textbook. Then, under his breath, so quiet it could have been imagination, I haven't slept properly since Friday. Ji-hoon's scalpel slipped. A thin line of green sap smeared across his thumb. Seo-ha noticed, took Ji-hoon's hand without asking, gentle, professional seeming, and wiped the sap away with a tissue from his pocket. His thumb lingered on the inside of Ji-hoon's wrist, right over the racing pulse. Steady, he murmured. Breathe. Ji-hoon pulled his hand back too fast. The motion knocked a petri dish. It clattered loudly. Several heads turned. Seo-ha smiled easily at the class. Everything's fine. Just clumsy hands today. The attention drifted away. Ji-hoon stared at the ruined lily. I can't do this here, he whispered. I know. Then why? Because I needed to see you. Even if it's only like this. Seo-ha's voice cracked on the last word. He covered it by adjusting the microscope focus. I keep replaying the rooftop. Your mouth. Your hand on my chest. I keep wondering if you regret it. Ji-hoon swallowed. I don't know what I feel. Seo-ha exhaled slowly. That's honest. I'll take honest. They worked in silence again. Near the end of the 30 minutes, Seo-ha leaned close under the pretense of showing Ji-hoon something through the eyepiece. Tonight, he whispered. After 9, my backyard. There's a gap in the fence behind the persimmon tree. No one will see. Ji-hoon's heart slammed. I can't. Just come. Even if it's only to tell me to leave you alone forever. I need to hear it from your mouth. The bell rang. Students began cleaning up. Seo-ha stepped back. All teacher again. Good work today, Ji-hoon-si. Your observations were precise. Ji-hoon packed his bag with trembling fingers. He didn't answer. The rest of the school day blurred. At home, he helped his mother chop vegetables, ate dinner in near silence, excused himself early. At 8:45, he told his parents he was going for a short walk to clear his head. Said he felt stuffy from studying too much. His mother reminded him not to stay out past 10. His father grunted approval. Ji-hoon slipped out the back door. The night was cool, moon half hidden behind clouds. He walked the narrow path between houses until he reached the old wooden fence. There a gap where two panels had warped apart just enough for a body to slip through. He hesitated, then pushed through. Seo-ha was waiting. He stood under the low branches of the persimmon tree in their shared backyard border, wearing a simple black sweater and jeans, arms wrapped around himself against the chill. When he saw Ji-hoon emerge, relief flooded his face so raw it hurt to look at. "You came?" Ji-hoon stopped a meter away. "I don't know why." Seo-ha took a careful step forward. "Because you're braver than you think." Ji-hoon laughed shaky, disbelieving. "I'm terrified, so am I." Silence fell between them, thick with unsaid things. Seo-ha spoke first. "I can't stop thinking about you. Not just the night in Seoul, not just the kiss in the rain. Every small thing. The way you bite your lip when you're nervous. The way your handwriting slants left when you're tired. The way you looked at me today like you wanted to run and stay at the same time." Ji-hoon's throat tightened. Seo-ha took another step, close enough now that Ji-hoon could see the faint tremor in his hands. "I don't want to be your secret shame," Seo-ha said quietly. "But if that's all I can be right now, I'll take it. I'll take whatever pieces you're willing to give." Ji-hoon looked up at him. Really looked. Seo-ha's eyes were dark, unguarded, pleading something inside. Ji-hoon gave way. He closed the last distance, wrapped his arms around Seo-ha's waist. Buried his face in the crook of Seo-ha's neck. Seo-ha froze for half a heartbeat. Then his arms came around Ji-hoon like they'd been waiting years to do exactly that. One hand cradled the back of Ji-hoon's head, the other pressed between his shoulder blades, holding him so tightly it almost hurt. Ji-hoon felt Seo-ha exhale against his hair, shuddering, relieved. They stood like that for long minutes. No kissing, no words. Just holding, breathing, existing. In the same small pocket of night. Eventually Ji-hoon pulled back just enough to look up. "I'm still scared," he whispered. "I know I might always be scared." Seo-ha brushed a thumb across Ji-hoon's cheekbone. "Then we'll be scared together." Ji-hoon leaned up on his toes. Their lips met, slow, searching, achingly tender. This time, there was no rain to hide them, only moonlight filtering through leaves, the faint scent of ripening persimmons, and the quiet certainty that whatever came next, they wouldn't face it alone. When they finally parted, Seo-ha rested his forehead against Ji-hoon's. "Go home before your parents worry." Ji-hoon nodded. ****. But before he slipped back through the fence, he turned. "Tomorrow?" he asked softly. Seo-ha smiled, small, real, heartbreakingly beautiful. "Tomorrow." Ji-hoon disappeared into the shadows. Seo-ha stayed under the tree long after he was gone, head tipped back, eyes on the stars, fingers pressed to his lips like he could keep the taste of Ji-hoon there forever. Chapter 6. The first cracked next few days slipped into a dangerous rhythm. By day, they were nothing more than teacher and student. Seo-ha's voice stayed even and measured during lessons. Ji-hoon answered questions only when called on, kept his gaze lowered, wrote notes in careful script. No one noticed the way their fingers brushed when handing back graded papers, or how Seo-ha's thumb would linger for one extra heartbeat against Ji-hoon's knuckles before letting go. By night, everything changed. The gap in the fence became their secret doorway. Most evenings it was just minutes. Ji-hoon slipping through after his parents thought he'd gone to bed. Seo-ha waiting in the shadowed yard with 2 mugs of hot barley tea or nothing at all. They sat on the low stone wall that divided the properties, shoulders touching, speaking in whispers. Sometimes they talked about small things. Seo-ha's childhood in a coastal town farther south, how he used to collect seashells until his pockets tore. Ji-hoon's memories of helping his grandfather plant rice before the old man passed. Sometimes they didn't talk. Sometimes they just sat in silence, hands linked between them. thumbs tracing slow circles over knuckles, breathing in sync with the night insects. Other times the air turned heavier. One night Wednesday, Moonfat and Lo Ji-hoon arrived later than usual. His mother had kept him up folding laundry and asking why he looked so tired lately. When he finally pushed through the fence, Seo-ha was already there, leaning against the persimmon tree, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You're late," Seo-ha said quietly. Ji-hoon hesitated. "My mom, I know." Seo-ha pushed off the tree. "Close the distance in 3 steps. Come here." Ji-hoon went. Seo-ha cupped his face with both hands, gentle at first, then firmer, and kissed him like he'd been starving for it. This wasn't the careful rooftop kiss or the tentative backyard ones. This was deeper, hungrier. Seo-ha's mouth opened over Ji-hoon's, tongue sliding slow and deliberate, tasting like mint and want. Ji-hoon made a small, helpless sound into it. His hands fisted in Seo-ha's sweater. Seo-ha backed him against the rough bark of the tree, one thigh sliding between Ji-hoon's legs, pressing just enough to make Ji-hoon gasp. They kissed until breathing became difficult, wet, open-mouthed, desperate. Seo-ha's hands roamed under Ji-hoon's hoodie, along the dip of his spine, up to card through his hair and tug lightly, tilting his head so he could kiss deeper, slower, claiming every inch of Ji-hoon's mouth like it belonged to him. When they finally broke apart, foreheads pressed together, panting, Seo-ha's voice was wrecked. "I've wanted to do that since the moment you walked into my classroom." Ji-hoon's laugh was shaky. "You're insane." "Maybe." Seo-ha kissed the corner of his mouth, his jaw, the sensitive spot under his ear that made Ji-hoon shiver. "But I'm yours." The words landed heavy. Ji-hoon pulled back just enough to look at him. Seo-ha's eyes were dark, pupils blown wide in the moonlight. His lips were swollen, hair mussed from Ji-hoon's fingers. He looked wrecked and beautiful and terrifyingly real. Ji-hoon swallowed. "What are we doing, Seo-ha?" Seo-ha exhaled, rested his forehead against Ji-hoon's again, falling very stupidly, very fast. Ji-hoon closed his eyes. "I'm scared it'll end badly." "It might." Seo-ha's thumb stroked along Ji-hoon's cheekbone. "But right now, it feels like the only honest thing I've done in years." They stayed like that until the cold started to seep through their clothes. Seo-ha kissed him once more, soft this time, lingering, then stepped back. "Go inside before you freeze." Ji-hoon nodded. But as he turned to slip back through the fence, Seo-ha caught his wrist. "Ji-hoon." He looked back. Seo-ha's expression was serious now, almost grave. "If it ever feels like too much, if you want to stop, or slow down, or disappear for a while, just say it. No questions, no guilt. I'll respect it." Ji-hoon searched his face, saw nothing but sincerity. He stepped forward instead of away, rose on his toes, pressed one last kiss to Seo-ha's mouth, quick, sweet, promising. "I don't want to disappear," he whispered against Seo-ha's lips. "Not yet." Seo-ha's arms came around him again, crushing him close for one heartbeat. Then Ji-hoon slipped away. The next morning, everything felt different. Ji-hoon woke with the taste of Seo-ha still on his tongue, the faint imprint of bark on his back when he stretched. He caught himself smiling at nothing while brushing his teeth, then panicked and schooled his face into neutrality. Before his mother could see at school, he walked the halls with new awareness. Every time he passed a classroom door, he half expected Seo-ha to step out. Every time someone said "new teacher," his heart stuttered. Lunchtime brought the first real crack. He was sitting under the persimmon tree with his friend Soo-ah on one side, stealing his fries, Min-jae and Tae-sung arguing about some new mobile game, when Yoon-ji suddenly leaned in. "You've been weird lately," she said bluntly. Ji-hoon froze mid-dash by Soo-ah tilted her head. "Yeah, you disappear after school. You're quiet even for you. And you keep looking toward the science building like you're expecting someone to jump out." Ji-hoon forced a laugh. "I'm just tired. Exams coming up," Min-jae snorted. "Bullshit. You've always been good at exams. This is something else." Tae-sung narrowed his eyes. "Is it a girl?" Ji-hoon's face flamed before he could stop it. Soo-ah gasped dramatically. "It is a girl." "Who? From another class?" "Wait, don't tell me it's that third year with the long hair, ***. Girl, who? From another class. Wait, don't tell me it's that third year with the long hair. No, Ji-hoon cut into quickly. It's nothing like that. Yoonji studied him. Then what? Ji-hoon looked down at his half-eaten kimbap. Just personal stuff. Family. Nothing big. They didn't believe him. He could see it in their faces. Asterisk asterisk, but they let it drop for now. The bell rang as they stood to leave. Suah looped her arm through his. Whatever it is, she said quietly, you can tell us. You know that, right? Ji-hoon nodded, throat tight. I know. He didn't tell them. He couldn't. That afternoon biology class felt like walking into a minefield. Seoha was lecturing on genetics Punnett squares, dominant and recessive traits. Safe, scientific. But halfway through he paused. His eyes found Ji-hoon in the back row. Held for 3 long seconds. Then he smiled small, private, gone before anyone else could clock it, and continued. Ji-hoon's heart wouldn't slow for the rest of the period. After school he lingered in the empty hallway outside the science wing, pretending to tie his shoelace while other students streamed past. When the corridor finally cleared, the door to the biology prep room opened. Seoha stepped out. Saw him, froze. Then without a word grabbed Ji-hoon's wrist and pulled him inside. The door clicked shut. Locked. Seoha backed Ji-hoon against the supply cabinet in one smooth motion. Their mouths crashed together. This kiss was frantic, teeth, hands everywhere. Seoha lifted Ji-hoon onto the edge of the counter. Ji-hoon's legs wrapped around his waist instinctively. Seoha's fingers dug into his hips, hard enough to bruise. Ji-hoon tugged at Seoha's tie, yanked his shirt collar open, kissed the hollow of his throat where his pulse hammered. They were both breathing too loud, too fast. Seoha broke away, first eyes wild. We can't not hear. Ji-hoon nodded, chest heaving. But neither moved. Seoha rested his forehead against Ji-hoon's collarbone. I'm losing my mind over you. Ji-hoon threaded fingers through Seoha's hair. Me too. A long silence. Then Seoha whispered, tonight, my house. Parents are gone until tomorrow night, village meeting in the next town. Come after 10. Ji-hoon's breath caught. Seoha pulled back, looked at him, really looked. No pressure, he said softly. We can just talk, or sit, or I can make you ramen and send you home. Whatever you want. Ji-hoon searched his face. Asterisk saw want, saw fear, saw love so naked it stole his breath. He leaned forward, kissed Seoha slow and deep and deliberate. When he pulled back he whispered, I'll come. Seoha's eyes fluttered closed in relief. Thank you. Ji-hoon slid off the counter, fixed his uniform with shaking hands. At the door he paused. Seoha. Seoha looked up. Ji-hoon's voice was barely audible. I think I'm falling too. He left before Seoha could answer, but he heard this soft exhale behind him like a man finally allowed to breathe. Asterisk chapter 7. Inside the quiet house, the clock in Ji-hoon's room read 9:47 when he finally stood up. He had changed clothes 3 times, first jeans and hoodie to casual, then button-up and slacks to formal, finally settling on soft gray sweatpants and a plain black long sleeve that felt safe. Unremarkable. He stared at himself in the small mirror above his desk until his reflection blurred. His parents were already in the living room. The television murmured some evening drama. His mother's soft laughter drifted down the hall every few minutes. Ji-hoon slipped past the doorway with practiced quietness, murmuring something about needing fresh air because his head hurt from studying. His father grunted without looking up. His mother called after him, don't stay out too late. It's getting cold. I won't. He stepped into the night. The yard was silver under the half moon. Crickets sang in uneven waves. Ji-hoon walked the familiar path to the fence gap like he was walking to an execution or a coronation. He couldn't decide which. The gap felt narrower tonight. He had to turn sideways to slip through. Seoha's backyard was darker than his own, no porch light on, only the faint warm glow leaking from the kitchen window. Ji-hoon paused at the edge of the grass, heart loud enough he was sure Seoha could hear it from inside. The back door opened before he could knock. Seoha stood there barefoot, in loose black lounge pants and a thin white t-shirt that clung slightly from the warmth of the house. His hair was damp. Like he'd showered recently. He looked softer than he ever had at school, less guarded, more human. He didn't speak at first. Just reached out a hand. Ji-hoon took it. Seo-ha pulled him gently inside and closed the door. The lock clicked with finality. The kitchen smelled like clean laundry and something faintly sweet, maybe cinnamon from earlier baking. A single lamp burned over the small dining table. 2 mugs waited, steam curling lazily. Next to them sat a plate of sliced fruit and a small bowl of cookies that looked homemade. "You baked?" Ji-hoon asked, surprised. Seo-ha rubbed the back of his neck, sheepish. "Tried. The first batch burned. These are the survivors." Ji-hoon smiled despite himself. A small, nervous thing. They sat. For several long minutes they only drank tea barley again. Warm and slightly bitter, their knees touched under the table. Neither moved away. Eventually Seo-ha spoke. "I wasn't sure you'd come. I almost didn't," Ji-hoon admitted. Seo-ha nodded like he understood. "What changed your mind?" Ji-hoon looked into his mug. "Watch the tiny leaves swirl at the bottom. I kept thinking, if I don't come tonight, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I did." Seo-ha exhaled slowly. He reached across the table, turned Ji-hoon's hand palm up, traced the lines there with one fingertip. Heart line, lifeline, fate line, like he was reading a map only he could see. "I thought about this night since the moment I invited you," Seo-ha said quietly. "Thought about what I'd say, how I'd act, tried to plan it so I wouldn't scare you." He laughed under his breath. Clearly failing, Ji-hoon lifted his eyes. "You're not scaring me." Seo-ha searched his face. "Then what are you feeling right now?" Ji-hoon swallowed. "Everything." Seo-ha stood, walked around the table, held out both hands. Ji-hoon took them. Seo-ha pulled him up slowly, until they were standing chest to chest in the middle of the quiet kitchen. No rush. No demand. Just Seo-ha's arms sliding round Ji-hoon's waist. Ji-hoon's sliding round Seo-ha's neck. They swayed a little like the world was rocking gently beneath them. Seo-ha pressed his lips to Ji-hoon's temple, lingered there. "I want to take care of you tonight," he murmured against skin. "Just let me, no expectations, no pressure. If you want to stop at any second, say the word, we stop." Ji-hoon nodded against Seo-ha's shoulder. Seo-ha kissed his forehead next, then each eyelid, the bridge of his nose, the apple of each cheek. Slow, worshipful. When their mouths finally met, it was like coming home, soft at first, lips brushing, tasting tea and nervousness and relief. Then deeper, Seo-ha's tongue traced the seam of Ji-hoon's lips until they parted on a sigh. The kiss turned languid, thorough, like they had all the hours in the world. Hands began to wander. Seo-ha's slipped under the hem of Ji-hoon's shirt, palms warm against bare skin, stroking up his sides, thumbs brushing the sensitive skin under his ribs. Ji-hoon shivered, arched closer. Ji-hoon's own hands found the hem of Seo-ha's t-shirt, hesitated. Seo-ha broke the kiss just long enough to whisper, "You can take it off if you want." Ji-hoon's fingers trembled as he lifted the fabric. Seo-ha raised his arms to help. The shirt came off and dropped to the floor. Ji-hoon stared. Seo-ha wasn't built like someone who spent hours in a gym, just lean, naturally strong. Skin golden from summer past. A faint scar curving along his left collarbone that Ji-hoon had never noticed before. He touched it with careful fingertips. "Old climbing accident," Seo-ha said softly. "Fell out of a tree when I was 12. Thought I was invincible." Ji-hoon leaned in, pressed his lips to the scar. Seo-ha inhaled sharply. Then it was Ji-hoon's turn. Seo-ha lifted the hem of his long sleeve slowly, giving him every chance to pull away. When Ji-hoon raised his arms, the shirt came off too. Cool air kissed Ji-hoon's skin. Goosebumps rose instantly. Seo-ha looked at him like he was seeing something holy. "Beautiful," he breathed. Ji-hoon ducked his head, suddenly shy. Seo-ha cupped his jaw, lifted it. "Look at me." Ji-hoon did. "You're beautiful," Seo-ha repeated, firmer. "Every part of you. Don't hide." They kissed again, standing in the middle of the kitchen, half undressed, hearts hammering in tandem. Eventually Seo-ha pulled back, took Ji-hoon's hand. "Come with me." He led him down the short hallway to the bedroom. The room was simple, single bed with dark sheets. Small desk piled with books and lesson plans. Window overlooking the backyard fence Ji-hoon had slipped through so many times. Seo-ha turned on the bedside lamp's soft golden light. Then he sat on the edge of the mattress, pulled Ji-hoon to stand between his knees. "Look at me," he said again. Ji-hoon did. Seha's hands settled on Ji-hoon's hips. Thumbs stroked slow arcs over hip bones. "I want to make you feel good," Seo-ha said. "I want tonight to be about you, about how much I want you, about how safe you are with me." Ji-hoon's breath hitched. Seo-ha leaned forward. Kissed the soft skin just below Ji-hoon's navel. Then lower, still open-mouthed. Reverent. Ji-hoon's knees nearly buckled. Seo-ha steadied him with hands on his waist. Looked up. "Tell me if it's too much." Ji-hoon shook his head. "Don't stop." Seo-ha smiled against skin small, wicked, tender. What followed was slow, achingly slow. Clothes disappeared one piece at a time. Seo-ha kissed every new inch of skin, revealed collarbones, sternum, the faint trail of hair below Ji-hoon's navel. When Ji-hoon's sweatpants finally pulled at his ankles, Seo-ha helped him step out, then guided him down onto the bed. They lay side by side at first, kissing, touching, learning. Seha's hands slid down Ji-hoon's stomach, lower, wrapped around him with careful, confident strokes. Ji-hoon arched, gasped into Seha's mouth. Seo-ha kissed his way back up Ji-hoon's body, held him through the aftershocks, whispered how good he was, how perfect. Ji-hoon turned into him, buried his face in Seha's neck. Tears slipped out, happy ones, overwhelmed ones. Seo-ha wiped them away with gentle thumbs. "You okay?" he asked softly. Ji-hoon nodded against his throat. "More than okay." They stayed like that a long time, tangled, breathing together. Eventually Ji-hoon lifted his head, looked at Seo-ha with wide, shining eyes. "Your turn," he whispered. Seo-ha smiled, slow, lazy, full of love. "Only if you want." "I want." Ji-hoon pushed Seo-ha onto his back, took his time learning every inch of him, kisses along the scar, across the flat planes of his stomach, down the sharp line of his hip. When he finally wrapped his lips around Seo-ha, the older man's control cracked. Seha's hand found Ji-hoon's hair, not guiding, just holding. His other hand clutched the pillow beside his head. Soft curses spilled from his lips, half praise, half plea. When he came, it was quiet, back arching, breath punched out of him. Ji-hoon's name broken on a shudder. Afterward they curled together under the covers. Seo-ha spooned behind Ji-hoon, arm draped over his waist, nose buried in the back of his neck. Ji-hoon laced their fingers together over his stomach. For the first time in weeks the fear felt smaller. Not gone, but smaller. Seo-ha kissed the nape of Ji-hoon's neck. "Stay a little longer?" Ji-hoon nodded. Double quotes, "just a little." They fell asleep like that, warm, tangled, secret. Outside, the moon watched over the quiet village, and for one night, nothing else mattered. Seo-ha whispered praise against his lips, soft Korean endearments, filthy promises, everything in between. When Ji-hoon was trembling, when his hips were lifting helplessly into every touch, Seo-ha kissed down his body again, took him into his mouth. Slow. Deep. Perfect. Ji-hoon's hands fisted in the sheets, then in Seha's hair. His back bowed off the mattress on a broken moan. Seo-ha didn't rush. He savored. When Ji-hoon came, it was sudden, overwhelming, white behind his eyes, Seha's name on his lips like a prayer.